Hey there, welcome back to Ask Amy. I have a question today from Melinda. So, Melinda says, your recent podcast describing the little Mario character running into a brick wall and just turning him around to point into a different direction really felt like it just landed on me. All of a sudden, I realized I don't have to be looking for the right answer. However, I think I'm stuck on something. You've mentioned life living you, how life happens through us like nature, how our brains just narrate life happening. I think you used the example of how when you're getting out of bed, your thoughts might say, okay, time to get out of bed when your feet are already almost on the ground. It really opened my eyes to how thoughts and narration are happening. However, where I'm a bit stuck is if life is happening through us, do we have control? For instance, I've struggled with an eating disorder since I was 15. Did I have any control over that as if life is living through me? Is recovery in my control, or will that come whenever it happens? Does this make sense? I guess I see a lot of things in my past where I felt like I heard my wisdom, but ended up doing something different that was not in my best interest. Was that life living me? But then what about our wisdom? I think I'm getting at the concept. I think I'm getting the concept of listening to our wisdom confused. If life just happens with the narration, then really would we even have wisdom? Thanks for your help with this. I hope it makes sense. Um, it does as much as this stuff does. So, Melinda, I love your question and I love what you're getting at here. And I love how even in asking of the question, when we start bringing in these concepts, which life living you is just a concept, and unless and until it's felt, but it's still what language is just conceptual, right? So we're just talking about it as a concept. Wisdom, for sure, a concept. Words can't capture whatever wisdom is. There's no definition that really even touches wisdom. I certainly don't know what it would be. There's not one. So all of this is very conceptual as we're talking about it, and the concepts can get very confusing. But the bigger sense of things beyond the concepts um, is very simple, and that's not that our mind won't jump in and then try to conceptualize it, and then we feel confused again. That'll happen all the time. But I want you to keep getting this sense that you're getting, that you describe in your first paragraph here, of like, oh wow, I have sort of a sense of this. Like when you saw how, oh yeah, I can sort of sense how the narrator's talking about I'm going to get out of bed and I'm already out of bed. Like that, there's something in there that just resonates and makes sense. And so that's sort of all we're really looking for. And for sure, when we start thinking about it, it starts looking really confusing. Um, so let me speak about this in two parts. I'm going to speak about wisdom, whatever that is, and then the control thing, which is your real question. For me, again, these are all just words. And wisdom, it's very easy to hear a word like wisdom, and then our mind makes up all kinds of meanings. So our mind will make up that wisdom is supposed to lead to good outcomes. Now, our mind is also making up what a good outcome is. So it's all just word after word, concept after concept after concept. So when I think about all this, it just all looks like one thing. Wisdom isn't a good choice because I don't even know what the heck a good choice is. You know, getting a diagnosis or a divorce or losing your job, people very quickly sometimes say that's the best thing that ever happened to me. So how the heck do we know what's good and what's not? What a good outcome would be and a bad outcome would be? No clue. But in a much bigger picture, it just looks like we are nature. We aren't part of it. It's all one thing. It's all this one energy. It's not a thing at all. It's all this one energy. And maybe that life that lives us, that whole essence of life is the exact same thing as wisdom. It's just that when our little mind tries to grab a hold of it, it tells a story about it and how it should be behaving and what it should look like. And that's just a story. But I think the whole thing is wisdom. I think all of this is life. It's all wisdom. It's all God. It's all one. It's all energy. Whatever word you want to put on it, they're all pointing to the exact same thing. So to see if you can kind of ease into that and get that sense of it, I think helps a ton because it only looks confusing again when mind is attaching all kinds of meaning and story and all kinds of stuff to different words, but it's really all one thing. So control is interesting in the context of what I just said too. If there's a you that has control, that assumes that there's a lot of separation, right? It assumes that, like, what are you controlling? There's at least a you that has this thing called control and can go out and control circumstances or people or thoughts or whatever it's trying to control. That's a lot of separation, lots of layers and layers of separation. Now, we live in a world of perceived separation. So that's okay. That makes sense. It makes sense that we'd get into these stories about control and me and my eating disorder and 15 years and time is real and past and future. That is the conceptual thought created world that we live in. But what if it's only the conceptual thought created story? And that story's playing out in its own ways for all people at various times. And not but or but and there's also life that's just one. So like in that oneness, in that life living us, story arises, eating disorders arise, a thought about wisdom arises, a thought like this was a good choice, that was a bad choice. All of that arises, and it's all the same thing. It's all life. It's all wisdom. It's all one thing. It's all one. And that one is arising and taking different shapes and forms, and a perceived me different from a perceived you is having a perceived experience, and then it all goes away and it all comes back up over and over and over again. So again, your mind won't make sense of this, but you can maybe hopefully get a tiny bit of a feel for how it's a giant and it's all of it. It's like, yes, there's nothing but light, and in this nothing but light we see shadows and trees and colors and shapes. It's all light, but you can't deny a shape either, or the appearance of a shape. You can't deny the appearance of a color, but it's an appearance made of light. Just like you and me and your eating disorder and my eating disorder and all of the past and future is an appearance made of life, made of oneness. So it's both. It's all of it. It's all inclusive. So you say, did I have any control over my eating disorder that I had since I was 15? If life is living me, well, in the story, it may look like you had control or you were out of control, or however that story went, for sure. For me too, for all of us. All the time, a mind is talking. This is the narrator you mentioned, talking about control and this and that, and I'll do this and I'll plan for that and I'll listen to this thing and I'll learn about that. And that feels like it's within our control, and that is part of the story. And that is part of life. That is life manifesting as that story, because it's all one thing. But do you really have control? I want you to explore this for yourself. To me, it looks like no. Because why? Like, if you've had control over your eating disorder at any point, why do you have it? Like, you didn't want it, right? You still don't want it. Like, why don't we use our control if we supposedly have it? Now, a mind will come in and make this really complicated and say, oh, well, I had control over here. So, like, this is how mind kind of keeps its relevance. I had control over here, so I know if I just work really hard, I can control it over there too. And it'll give you a million reasons why you may have control, but you haven't been able to control your eating disorder. That's different. You're too weak. You don't see it yet. All kinds of stuff. But come on. Like, if we keep looking at that, okay, if I have so much control, then just make me stronger. If I have so much control, just make me see it, whatever that means. Like, it's a lot of thinking. I don't think there's any control. I don't think we have any control. And we live in a story of separation and cause and effect and control and time and all of that. And there is this mind-body mechanism that's constantly learning. So we are always seeing new things. You are asking this question, you're getting some answer. Whether that's helpful or not, who knows? But maybe something is seen, just like you described already. You listen to something is Something looks different. Did you control that? No. Did I control that? Even though I gave the answer? No. I wish I could. I can't make anyone see anything, but it's happening. So it's like part of how life is living us is learning and seeing and moving. But I think when our mind gets in there and says, "Oh, I'm in control of this," that's when it gets really hard. It's when there's a lot of suffering and a lot of confusion, and it just on some level doesn't resonate. I think with all of us, it doesn't resonate that we have control as much as we want it, as much as our mind wants it. And it can be really scary to think we don't have control. Again, it breaks down so easily. Like, where's the control then? Why aren't you using it? Why is it only in certain areas? Like, it's easy to see through in a sense. So sit with that, because again, how it looks to me doesn't matter. What you get curious about in this is what matters. And if it feels really helpful for you or anyone at any point to feel like, oh, I feel like I have some control over here, and that feels like a good thing. It feels better than when I felt completely powerless and hopeless. Well, they're fine. You can live in the story of control. We all are. It's okay. You don't have to see this in any particular way. But I'll just share that for a lot of people, for me too, and a lot of people, I think, I mean, I used to feel completely out of control, and it was terrifying and horrible. And then to sort of think, oh, maybe I have some say in this. I can notice some thoughts, and I can do this and that, and it feels a little bit better. This is part of the story too, but it feels like I kind of needed that. So I hung out in that for a little while. And then all on its own, some new learning what happened, and it's like, oh, this doesn't make sense anymore. So you don't have to skip to the end, whatever the end would be. You don't have to move yourself through this. Again, life's doing that. It's enough to just kind of let your own, I mean, again, we're not doing this, but so you don't have to let anything, but to notice how curiosity and interest and sometimes suffering and sometimes pain moves us forward and opens things up. So see how that sits with you, and let me know. And thanks for sending this question. It's a great, big question that I know a lot of people are going to hear a lot in. All right. Send your questions to askamy@thelittleschoolofbigchange.com. And I'm here every Monday at 1 p.m. Eastern speaking to them. See you guys next week.